kid kicked me, that's what, right in the shin. And then she bent over, came a-butting at me like a nanny goat. Knocked the wind clear out of me. I'll tell you something, Ma. I don't want no more to do with that kid. She ain't human.
Oh, now, Sonny, that ain't true. She looked like a sweet little thing to me.
Sweet my aching shin bone. She's a regular wild child if I ever saw one, and she's on the warpath. Why, if I hadn't tied her to a tree, she'd have murdered me for sure.
Tied her to a tree? Tied her to a tree! Now, what did you go and do a thing like that for, a big galoot like you? Now, you just go untie that poor little tack and bring her here, and be quick about it.
But, Ma...
Right now, I did not raise you to be no bully. We may be kidnappers, but we ain't mean ones.
Well, I mean, maybe we ought to try some other kid. You know, we could just take this one home again, move on to some other town.
Sonny, I've always taught you to stick to things. Just plain perseverance. That's what get a body ahead in this world. Now, we've already got little Emily Jane Dorset, and we picked her out special because she's the richest little girl in the whole county. We'll clear 2,000 easy. So you just go get that girl and bring her here. Poor thing, too scared to even scream.
No, she ain't, Ma. She just ain't chewed through the gag yet, that's all.
Gag? Gag? Oh, Sonny, what kind of decent, kind-hearted kidnappers would gag a little child? Now, you just go get that little girl and bring her here. I'll fix her up something nice and hot to eat. She'll be all calmed down in no time. Mark my words.
I'll do my best, Ma, but I hate to think of the ruckus when that gag comes off.
What happened to your finger, Sonny? Did you have an accident?
It was no accident, Ma. She bit me on purpose, that's what she did. Look, you can see the tooth marks.
Land sakes, boy, any bitty bite like that never hurt nobody. And you certainly can't blame that poor, scared child for putting up a scrap. Come on up here, sweetie. It's okay. Sonny here wouldn't harm a flea. Just as soon as I take the horse and the buggy back to town, we'll have a good hot supper. And Sonny can play with you while I'm gone. Won't that be nice? Take that! Nobody guides, mighty chief! Terror of the Western Plains and lives to tell the tale! No, sir! Take that and that and... Say, am I kidnapped? Well, we don't like to use that exact word. Let's just say we just borrowed you for a little bit, just for fun. We'll be writing your daddy real soon. When he answers our letter, then you can go home. What for? Gee, I don't want to go home. I've always wanted to be stolen by bandits, but we don't get too many around here. Nothing exciting ever happens in this old town. Hey, is that a real robber's cave? Well, any treasure in there? No, sweetie. We've just got some supplies. We're gonna fix it up real nice and cozy. No treasure? I thought all pirates had treasure, jewels and gold and stuff like that. Oh, hey, is that it? Are we gonna sneak into town and heist the bank? Are we gonna go on robbing? Can I come? Say my pa's president of the bank, and I know where he keeps the key. If you want me to, I can. No, child. Sonny and I ain't no common thieves. Sonny here just happens to be out of work right now, and we just thought it might be nice to camp out for the summer months, just until something or other turns up. Oh, like Ransom, huh? Well, I bet you get a whole lot out of my pa. He's got piles of money. But don't write that letter just yet, will ya? I've never camped out my whole life, and we're gonna stay in a real robber's cave. Not for long, Emily Jane. I'm sure your pa wants you back real fast. We'll just write her a letter and then... I don't want to go home! Listen, I was gonna run away from home anyhow one of these days. You know what they make me do. Well, they make me go to school, and they won't me have a dog, and they make me get dressed up on Sundays, and they make me take piano lessons, and I even have a governess, and she is a prune. You got any blankets in that cave? Why, sure we do. Not taking a chill, are ya? Me, I never took a chill my whole life. I just want to play, that's all. I'll be a chief, and Sonny can be old Hank the Trapper, and he'll be my captive, and then I'll scalp him, and then I'll bury him at the stake, and you can be old Snake Eye the Spy. I can't play right now, Emily Jane. I have to take the horse and the buggy back to town.
I'll take it, Ma. I'll take it.
No, Sonny, you stay here and play with Emily Jane. Chief! Call me Chief! Chief. You stay here and keep the child from being homesick. I want to scout around town a bit, see what they're saying. Boy, I'll bet they're worried. They never had a kidnapping in our town before, and I'll bet the sheriff's getting up a posse and everything. More than likely, but don't you worry. We've got a good safe hideaway here. Can you two gather some firewood while I'm gone? We'll want to keep that nice hot fire going.
Sure we will. I have to burn a like the trapper at the stake, remember?
That sounds like fun, sweetheart, and I'm sure Sunny will love playing with you. Now, I will be back just as soon as I know what's going on down there.
See you later, Snake Eye. And Hank, prepare to meet your doom.
So there I was, sitting out on the front porch, shelling peas and minding my own business. And who do you think I saw coming out of Widow Simpson's house?
Who?
Promise not to tell?
Not a living soul. You know me, James. Who was it?
Lawyer Brown, that's who.
What? No.
Sure as you're alive, that's who it was. All spiffed up in his Sunday clothes and everything. Had a kind of sneaky look on his face, too. At least that's what I thought. But he went right past my house with not even any much as a howdy-do.
Well, I never. Do you suppose they're keeping company? Sakes alive, hadn't been more than a year since poor Elmer Simpson passed away.
Don't I know it? But that Elsie Simpson was never one much for keeping quiet. Everybody knows that. They say she even turned up at a square dance that they had down at Spindle Holler all by herself. Gussied up fit to kill.
Imagine that, at her age.
But that ain't the worst.
What? No.
It's about that grown daughter of hers, Carolyn. Did you know she's running around with that wild Murchison boy?
Not the Murchison boy.
I happen to know it for a fact. And last week, oh dear, I really aren't tell.
Whisper. Just whisper.
Well now, it was last Thursday night. Happened to be looking out my window, just getting a breath, and all of a sudden,
What? No. You don't mean it. Not really. Oh, well, I never.
Oh, y'all, I'm so glad I found you.
Oh, Miss Tadler, did you get today's special?
What? No, I just got a loaf of bread. Have you heard the news?
what news?
It's about the little Dorset girl, Emily Jane. They said she's been kidnapped. Imagine, a real kidnapping, right in our town.
Oh, that? I heard that down at the Arts Goods store this morning. Nothing to it if you ask me. No kidnapper in his right mind would go near that child.
Just run off and got herself lost more than likely. And I, for one, don't miss her one bit.
Harriet, what a thing to say about a poor, motherless child.
Well, I don't. Not after what she did to my poor little Roger last week.
What did she do?
Well, she was playing. That's what Roger said. And she plain scalped the child. Took a whole handful of them beautiful curls and lopped them right off. Poor Tyke looked like a plucked chicken.
And then she painted my little Mary Ellen's face all up in what she called war paint. But it must have been that red lead that they used in old barns, because I was dazed getting it off. Poor Mary Ellen's still pink as a ripe cherry.
Good riddance, that's what I say.
That ain't nice, Harriet, but I know what you mean. Maybe a day or two out in the woods might calm the child down a bit.
And we'll have a spell of peace and quiet for once.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody out looking?
Just the governess. That's what they say. Poor soul. She spends half her life hunting down for that child.
But didn't Mr. Dorsey tell the sheriff?
Oh, sure. But it's only been a day now. And since there hasn't been any ransom note, they don't figure it's a real kidnapping. But I do.
Why?
Well, because nothing exciting ever happens in this town. That's why. It's high time we had something like a kidnapping to talk about. Nothing like a bit of a scandal to stir the blood. That's what I always say.
Guess you haven't heard about Carrie Lou Simpson, have you?
What? No. What happened?
Well, it seems that she and the Murchison boy...
The Murchison boy.
Not so loud.
The Murchison boy.
Seems they was in the moonlight last Thursday night. And when they got to the corner of Elm and Main,
What? No. You don't mean it.
you just let that boy go, or there'll be no supper for you.
Well, all right then. Chief say, never mind sunset. Wicked Trapper will burn at sunrise instead. What's for supper?
Never you mind about supper just now. We've got a very important letter to write in.
Oh, Sonny,
What happened to your hair? You look pretty near bald and all turkey.
She scalped me, Ma. She scalped me. Whacked a whole bunch of hair off with a penknife, that's what she did. And then she was gonna burn me at the stake.
Oh no, she wasn't gonna do any such thing. She was only playing. You weren't gonna do any such thing, were you, Emily Jane?
Chief mean what Chief say. When sunrise come,
By sunrise, you'll be long gone. I'm gonna deliver the ransom note to your pa this very night. Now you just sit quiet for a spell.
was everybody out looking? Did the sheriff give him a posse? Are we gonna have to make a getaway?
Don't look that way, Emily Jane. Not a lot of commotion down there. Leastwise, not yet. Come here. So, I'm gonna deliver the ransom note. I'm gonna slip it under Old Man Dorset's door, and then I'm gonna make a run for it. And then after that,
Emily Jane! Emily Jane! Emily Jane Dorset!
who in tarnations is that?
Old prune face, that's who. My governess. Boy, she never lets me have any fun. I can't even get myself kidnapped without her pestering me.
What are we gonna do, Ma? If she spots us, she's gonna run off and tell the sheriff. And then they'll all be after us. And then we'll end up in jail and... Gee, Ma, we was gonna go straight right after this. Isn't that what we decided?
That's right. Just as soon as we got enough money to pull off that phony real estate scheme we was planning for next week, then we was gonna settle right down and be respectable. At least for the winter months.
Emily Jane! Emily Jane!
In the meantime, I reckon we have to kidnap her too.
Oh, that'll ruin everything. What do we have to go and kidnap that old prune for?
Because if we don't, she'll go blabbing all over town. Just go out and grab her, Sonny.
Aw, gee, Ma, I'm all black and blue now. What if she, she finds back the way the kid did?
She won't. She's a scaredy cat. Know what I did last week? Well, I put this frog in her bed. A great, big, slimy, wiggly one. And the minute it touched her toe...
Well, that was just plain mean, Emily Jane. Now, what did you go and do a thing like that for?
Oh, just to liven her up a bit. All she ever does is read the newspaper and play piano and stuff like that. She's a prune.
Okay. Sonny, the way I look at it, if she's the type to be scared out of her wits by an itty-bitty frog, she ought to faint dead away at the sight of a full-grown man coming out in the forest. So, just talk to her quiet like. I never was much of a hand with painting.
She's here now. Hey, Miss Prune! Here I am. Catch me if you can.
There you are! You naughty child! How dare you go off and hide like this? How dare you?
I'm not hiding. I'm kidnapped.
You're what?
Kidnapped. And you're gonna be too. And you know what? You can be the man that betrays the terrible chief. And after I burn old Hank Trapper at stake.
That is enough of that nonsense, young lady. You know I don't like for you to tell lies. And I am in no mood to play games. My feet are killing me. So I don't want to hear any silly stories about kidnapping, even if you're only pretending.
See? I am kidnapped. And you better come quick, or there's no telling what they'll do. They're real desperados. You know what they did to me? Well, they tied me up, and then...
Emily Jane, we didn't do you one bit of harm, and you know it. Though I must say, you did a pretty good job on poor Sonny here.
Emily Jane can be quite difficult. I know that. Suppose I just take her off your hands and we'll just go along home now.
We can't go home. We're kidnapped. So there.
That's right, ma'am. We're holding the child for ransom, but the very second we get that, you two can go on your way, safe and sound.
You mean I'm kidnapped too?
Afraid so, ma'am, but the very minute Emily Jane Pa pays up...
How much are you asking?
Well, we haven't sat down and read the letter yet, but we was figuring on $2,000.
Don't you think that... Ow! Don't you think that's a bit high?
Well, Ebenezer Dorset's pretty stingy, that's what I've heard. And, ow! Suppose Emily Jane's pa won't pay up. We'd be stuck with the kid for life.
Hey, that'd be great! I could stay forever, and me and Sonny could play all the time. Only next time, I'm not gonna be cheap. I'm gonna be a lone scout and ride to the stockade to warn the settlers that the invaders are coming. Sonny can be my trusty horse, and Miss Brew can be an enemy spy, and we can shoot at her and everything.
I think 1,000 would be far more reasonable.
Maybe 500. 500 sounds like enough to me.
Well, Sonny, I've always taught you to stick to things. We decided on 2,000, and that's what we decided, and... Ow! And, well, you know, suppose we try for 1,500.
We can try, Ma, but let's be ready if the old man wants to narrow it down a bit. I don't like this here kidnapping business one bit. I don't think it's my proper line of work.
I'm glad to hear you say that, sir. The road to laughs is full of wrong turnings, and only an honest man knows which fork of the crossroads to take when the night is darkest.
Say, that's right pretty. Can't say I know what it means, but it sure is a pretty way to say it.
Thank you. I always did have rather a way with words. Maybe you could help me write this here letter? Never was much of a hand at this stuff myself, but I couldn't write a ransom note. I'm kidnapped myself.
That's true. We wouldn't want to get this nice lady into any trouble. You write it, Ma. Just, make it sound like we mean business.
Right, Sonny? I think I can handle it. Here's how we'll start. Ebenezer Dorset S.
S? What in tarnation is that?
It stands for Esquire, and what it means is...
Is that anybody who has S after their name is rich. So you better call me that too. Emily Jane Dorset-esque.
And I've got the first part right. Ebenezer Dorset-esque. Dear sir, we have your helpless child.
Help.
Helpless child. We demand payment of 2,000.
1,500, Ma. 1,500.
$1,500. You know, now that I think about it, maybe 1,000 is enough after all. We demand.
Hey! If you make it too small, I'll have to go home. And I don't want to go home.
Of $1,000 payable in person by the above-mentioned Ebenezer Dorset-esque. You will bring the money to Howlett's Cave on Summit Mountain previous to... I beg your pardon, but I believe you mean prior to. It's the correct phrase. Prior to. That does sound a mite bit better. Thank you kindly. Prior to 11 p.m. Would you possibly make it earlier, say 8? My feet are killing me. Glad to oblige. My bunions have been kicking up something awful lately. I wouldn't mind a night's rest myself. 8 p.m. If you do not show up with the proper sum of cash money, you will never see your child again. Very truly yours, the Two Desperados. How does that sound?
Hey, I made that up, didn't I? Desperados is what I called you. Sounds great. That's what I think. Say, I can see I'm going to be a lot of help to you, too. If my pa doesn't pay, next time we can be the 3 Desperados and go out kidnapping together. Well, I can stay forever. Hey, Sonny, can I borrow your hat?
What for?
You'll see. Just don't anybody go away till I get back.
We better get going, Ma. There's no telling what that kid has in mind this time.
Probably just some foolish dress-up game. Now, you two, just sit quiet till I get back.
Alone? Just us two?
Why, sure, Sonny. It's a nice moon out tonight. Maybe Miss Pruitt here will be inspired to tell you some more pretty things, like that they're saying about them crossroads. Maybe you can say some pretty things to her.
Shucks, I don't know, Ma. That's one thing you never did learn me. Maybe I ought to escort you down the mountain. It ain't a good idea for a lady to be out alone after dark, even a kidnapping lady. Isn't that right, Ma?
Oh, please don't leave me Warren. You never know what might happen with this world full of desperados and... Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
Oh, that's all right, ma'am. No desperados are gonna boss you out. I'm around. That's for sure. Don't worry about Ma here. She knows her way down the mountain just fine. Don't you worry, Miss Pruitt. You can count on me.
That's more like it, Sonny. About time you learned a thing or two about courting. Now, I'll be back just as soon as I give him this letter, and then we'll be...
We'll be rich. We'll have $1,000, plus you know the money I saved from the last job.
Yippee! I'm Lord Scott, and I'm out for blood! Just as soon as I capture me a wild horse, I'm off to the stockade to win the settlers!
500, Mom. Make it 500.
Halt, pesky invader! Halt, or I'm running through with this bayonet!
No point being greedy. 500 tops.
That was a right nice sociable, don't you think? Don't know when I ate so much, though. That plum pie was about the best I ever had, don't you think?
What? No, I didn't touch it. Goodness, don't you know who brought it? Elsie Simpson, that's who. And everybody knows she ain't ever had a way with cooking. No telling what she might have put in it.
Mercy, I'm gonna be indigestible all night long. But I was too busy at looking at what she was wearing, I didn't even notice what she brought. Did you see that flouncy dress with all them ribbons and bows? A body would think she was trying to look 16.
And she's a good 40 if she's a day. Everybody knows that.
Everybody except Lawyer Brown looked like a lovesick puppy, didn't he?
Plumb daft over that foolish woman. That's the truth. Did you know he took her out for a stroll out back while the party was still going on?
What? No.
I happen to know for a fact. Stepped out for a breath of fresh air myself and, well, I just don't want to tell you what I saw.
What? And what did you see?
Well, now, I really shouldn't let this get around, but promise not to tell.
Not a living soul.
Well, you know that old maple tree next door with the hammock slung under it?
Uh-huh.
Well, it seems that the two of them...
What? No. You don't mean it. Not really. Well, I never.
Wait for me, y'all. Wait for me. Oh, hi, sorry. I don't mean to disturb you all. You guys look so nice. Hey, everybody. Oh, hi.
Ooh, the golden table. I like to sit with you guys soon enough. Oh, you don't know how fast I ran. Oh, just wait till you hear.
Hear what?
What?
Is it about the plum pie?
What? No. It's about the little Dorset girl, Emily Jane.
I thought it was gonna be something about Elsie.
Or maybe Carrie Lou. Did you know she didn't even show up at the sociable? Goodness only knows where she and that Murchiston boy ran off to.
But it's a real kidnapping. Isn't that exciting? Mr. Dorset got a ransom note this very evening.
How'd you know?
Well, I got it from Rose Havenmeyer, and she got it from Evelyn Stubbins, who has the same cleaning lady as Mr. Dorset. So then, she asked her about the...
What did it say? How much they asking?
Well, I'm not so sure. I wasn't that good with figures. It's either 500 or 5,000. I do get mixed up sometimes.
It must be 5,000. 500 is nothing, especially not for Ebenezer Dorset Esquire.
Will he pay? Do you think?
Well, he has to. The note said that if he didn't, he would never see the child again. But the sheriff said he ought to think it over.
Think it over, but how can he when it's his own child that's in danger?
Well, you know the sheriff is. He never did forgive Emily Jane for unhitching his buggy, letting it roll down Front Street, right into the river. He'd have murdered her for sure if her governess hadn't come along and dragged her home. Guess he's just in no hurry to have her back in town, that's all. But he's got the duties to the law, I suppose sooner or later. Oh, look girls, look who's coming. Pretend you don't know anything. This is supposed to be a secret. Evening, Mr. Dorset.
Evening, ladies. Mr. Pryor.
Understand you're having a lot of trouble, Mr. Dorset.
My nothing little plain old horsings won't take care of.
Is it anything we can help you with?
Nope. Thanks anyhow. Just gotta do a little financial maneuvering. That's all. Kind of a private matter between me and the sheriff. If you'll excuse me, I best be getting down to his office.
You always were a marvel with business dealings, Mr. Dorsett. Everybody knows that, right?
Oh,
yes, absolutely.
Yep.
I'm sure she'll be. Everything will turn out fine.
Evening, ladies. Mr. Pryor.
Poor man. Seems real wrought up, didn't he?
Just imagine, his very own little daughter held for ransom by who sort of knows them awful people. I'll bet that little child was just scared to death, that's what I'll bet.
Crying her eyes out, most likely.
Poor little tyke.
Hold on there, Lone Scout. I don't think I can make it any further. My knees are plumb wore out.
Then I'll have to shoot you and put you out of your misery. Sorry, old paint. It's better this way.
On second thought, I think I just might make it. Just stop poking me with that thing, huh?
Yippee, come on. The Settles will be murdering their beds if we're. Whoa, old paint. I spy an invader out in the bushes, lying in ambush. Whoa, old paint. And you out there, Vulture, shoot.
Whoa, Emily Jane, just me. No cause for alarm, only me.
Hold on there, Lone Scout. That ain't no invader. That's one of them settlers for sure. Now, don't you lay a hand on my mom.
Fine.
Big slab, that child is a wild one. Why are you down on your knees, Sonny? Are you okay?
She was riding me to the stockade, Ma. 100 miles so far, and another 100 to go, not barring an inch. Why, when that kid plays a game, she means business. I was her horse, old paint, and every 10 miles she made me stop and eat oats. And I'll tell you something, Ma. Sand ain't a reasonable substitute.
Ate sand.
Sand.
Your Sonny is a marvel, Mrs. Griggs. I don't know when I ever saw Emily Jane have more fun.
And tomorrow we're gonna be pirates, and Sonny can mutiny, and they'll give him 100 lashes, and then he can walk the plank. And
There
then
ain't gonna be no pirate game tomorrow, Emily Jane. That's a fact. Your pa will be up here any minute to get you.
I don't want to go home. I want to finish being old scout and get to the stockade. Come on, old pink. Just a few more miles to go, and then I'll give you some more oats.
I don't think old Paint wants any more oats, Emily Jane. I think he wants some of these nice beans I'm fixing for supper.
And if you don't stop them shenanigans, there'll be no supper for you.
But I'm hungry. We rode a whole 100 miles.
Then just stay quiet for a spell, and Miss Prudie will dish you out some beans. Sonny, come on.
What happened down there, Ma? Everything go all right?
Perfect, just perfect. The whole town was as calm as a pasture of cows. Funny, there didn't seem to be a soul out looking for the child. Maybe they just haven't missed her yet.
I don't know, Ma. Seems like that's a kid they'd definitely miss. Huh? Maybe they just ain't in any all-fired hurry to get her back.
Well, that don't seem right. Her very own pa ought to be scared silly. Though I must say, he took his sweet time about telling the sheriff. I peeked in the window just to see what he'd do when he read the note. Do you know what he did?
No, what?
Well, he kind of studied it for a minute, looking no more surprised than made a picture postcard from his Aunt Mary. Then he just stuck it in his pocket, marched on over to the dining room, and sat himself down.
And then what?
And then he just ate supper just as pokey as he pleased, dessert and all. Must have hidden those bushes for an hour just waiting for some action. I'm all scratched up to pieces, hunkering down amongst them rose bushes. But I could see him, plain as anything, when he stepped out onto the porch.
Well, I bet he was upset, huh?
A body would think so, but maybe he's just a slow-moving type, because what he did next was he lit up a big cigar, sat himself down on the porch swing, and didn't move a muscle till he'd smoked the whole thing, clear down to the tip. And then he ambled on over to the sheriff's office just as lackadaisical as he was paying a social call. Must have been near 7 o'clock when he got there.
Isn't it near time now, Ma, then? I mean, didn't we plan on 8?
Oh yeah, we did. We'll just have enough time to grab ourselves some bite to eat.
These beans are ready, Mrs. Griggs. You know, I've never cooked over an open fire before. The fresh air really stimulates the appetite, doesn't it?
Camping out is fun. I wish I could camp out forever.
Well, you can't, Emily Jane. Your pa will be here any minute. Then you can go home and have a nice hot bath.
I don't want a nice hot bath. I want some more beans. And then I'm going to finish being Lone Scout and ride to the stockade.
Say, these beans sure are tasty, Mrs. Pruitt. Did you do something special?
Oh, do call me Samantha. And as a matter of fact, yes, I added just a touch of mustard and a wee bit of molasses. Nothing to it, really. I think it's this fresh night air that makes them taste so good. Sometimes I think it must be splendid to just roam the woods and the fields and to be wild and free. Just not have to worry about anything.
Well, you know, sometimes it is, sometimes it ain't. Winters can get real cold, so we like to hunker down somewhere.
Yeah, but the summers are real nice, what we call the green things growing and trees waving in the breeze and sunshine all day long.
That's awful pretty what you said about the green things growing and the trees waving in the breeze. Really, it's quite poetic. It really makes one yearn for the simpler things of life. You know, sometimes I wish I could be a free spirit and not have to worry about things like...
Kidnapping? Hey, did you forget you were kidnapped?
Well, I declare, Emily Jane, I suppose I did. The whole matter just completely slipped my mind. But I suppose it'll all be over soon.
Right you are, ma'am. I hear rustling in the leaves about that away. Sonny, go check to see if he's alone. If you're not, you'll have to make a getaway.
Hey, let's make a getaway. And then I can stay and tomorrow we can play pirates.
Shh, child, we have to make sure your pa's alone.
He's alone, Mom, and he must have brought the money or he wouldn't be here at all. That you, Mr. Dorset? Right this way, sir. We have your little girl safe and sound, and believe you me, we are more than ready to let her go.
Ah, shucks, it is, Pa. I was hoping it was the sheriff so we can make a getaway. Well, you know what? I'm not going. I don't care how much money he gives you. I'm not going.
Oh, yes, you are. We can't expect these people to put up with you forever, Emily Jane. I'm sure poor Miss Pruitt must be exhausted.
Oh no, Mr. Dorset. It's been almost like a vacation. This gentleman here is taking complete charge of Emily Jane. He's wonderful with children, so imaginative.
I suppose that's a good thing in his particular line of work. Emily Jane Dorset.
Esque.
It's really not like that at all, Mr. Dorset. This is all just sort of a lark.
No, it ain't. This here is a real kidnapping, and we expect real ransom. Did you bring the money, Mr. Dorset?
Well, not exactly. I brought what you might call a counter proposition. Mind if I read to you?
Well, I've always believed in being fair-minded, but we ain't budging an inch. You can be sure of it.
Mr. Gentleman, hang on to the hostage a minute, will you? Dear Desperado, I have received your note asking ransom for the return of my daughter, Emily Jane, and I believe your demands are a little high.
Hi. Okay, sakes alive, a measly $500 ain't nothing. A lot of kidnappers ask for a lot more than that.
Feel your demands are a little high. I hereby offer the following counter proposition, which I feel you'll be more than willing to accept. Simply, return my daughter to me. Pay me $250 in cash, and I agree to take her off your hands.
Well, if that don't beat off for plain foolishness after all the trouble we've gone to.
Do it, Ma, do it. I've got that much right here in my pocket, and I was saving up for a new gun, but I don't need a new gun half as much as I need some peace and quiet. Just take it, Ma.
No.
Yes, take it.
There's more. Do not ever show your faces near the Dorset home again, where I cannot be responsible for what our neighbors will do to you if they learn you are the persons who saw fit to return Emily Jane to the bosom of her community. Very truly yours, Ebenezer Dorset, Esquire.
They murderous for sure, Ma.
No wicked paleface, no! Paleface who gave one of the enemy chiefs must die! Chief say no!
Well, now that I think about it, maybe that there counter proposition has a lot to recommend to it. Only one thing troubles me.
What's that?
Mightn't the child take after us?
Most likely. You better get a move on.
How long can you give us?
Well, I'm not as strong as I used to be, but I can give you a good 15 minutes. Put the money in my pocket and we can call this whole matter settled.
I don't want to go home! I don't want to go home!
Suppose you'll be going along too, Samantha.
I suppose I will. I have my duty to Emily Jane, but I'll never forget this night. Not ever. And I'll remember what you said about the green things growing and the trees waving in the breeze. I've just had the grandest time, Sonny.
Oh, don't call me that. Call me Harold.
Sonny, let's go.
5 minutes! Make it 5 minutes!
Sonny, come on, let's go.
Goodbye, Harold.
Goodbye, Samantha.
Yay! Chief winning battle! Chief on warpath! Take that! And that!
Wait for me, Harold! Wait for me!
Thank you.